Happy Thankful Thursday, everyone. I am so glad that you made it back. If you've been doing great, awesome, proud of you, wonderful. Things are a little tough right now. Keep going, you got it. If things are not so great now, don't worry about it. I got you. You're going to keep going off of this, okay? So today we are going to get into change, and I figured the best way to explain change are the seasons, of course, because everything has a season, but seasons always change. So we are going to get into a little bit of that. So a little fun fact for you before we get into all of it, right? We have different seasons and they start on different days of the year. So do you know the difference between a solstice and an equinox? Okay, so the solstice is when you get your longest and shortest days of the year. So June 21st, 22nd is usually the longest day of the year. December 21st or 22nd is usually the shortest day of the year and the longest night. So those are your solstices. That's when you get the shortest and the longest, right? Then you have the equinox. Equinox is when there's equal amount of daylight and darkness. So those are your spring and autumn equinoxes. A lot of people complain about the time change and all that good stuff, but they kind of work around that thing, and that's how you know when the seasons are getting ready to change. So there's that, which I thought was really fun because my daughter, she is born on the summer solstice. So she is the longest day of the year. And I was like, boy, I timed that one right, didn't I? So when we celebrate, it is an all day event, and it is always beautiful. It's always fun. We're going to get into the seasons, and not everybody likes every season, but if you are in a season, you've got to get through it, whether it be quickly or slowly. You got to recognize it for what it is and still get through it, right? So what is your favorite season? I will not tell you mine yet, but we're going to go through them. So I figured let's start with summer because we are in summer. And of course, the first thing everybody says, oh my God, the heat. Oh my God, I'm going to melt and everything else. Like we've had Tampa just hit 100 degrees record history in like ever. So that was interesting, but summer does get pretty hot and people get pretty miserable. I always tell everybody, look, it's too hot to have an attitude with anybody. Don't say anything wrong to anybody because heat irritates people. So summer has its negative side, so to speak, but if you have to get through the summer, you got to find the good in it, right? But summer is the peak of everything, right? Summer is when everything is in full swing, everything is at its peak growth, all of that. Fruits are ripe, people are traveling, all that stuff is in full swing, which means summer teaches us that all you got is right now. Live it up. And if you're old enough, we had YOLO. When they started that, I was like, oh my God. But summer is literally that. Summer also reminds us to stay warm and compassionate towards people. It's warm outside and everything else, but you know, people still need, you know, some place to, a soft place to land or somebody to be nice to them. So, you know, don't be crazy. You see somebody want, you know, ice water, some ice cream, something, share something with somebody, you know. Summer is that time for fun and everything else. So summer reminds us of that as well. There are some things about summer that keep growing and all of that. If you've ever seen grass in the summertime, you can mow it as much as you want. But if it rains, especially here in Florida, if it rains, it's going to grow a foot taller than what you already mowed. So everything happens pretty fast in summer. So you have got to kind of go with the flow. Then you have to be adaptable too. You have to know what and when and how. So you've got to know when to go inside because it is too hot. Nobody likes heat exhaustion. Right? Nobody likes to be sunburned, right? But then you have to know like when not to stay inside because just as human beings, if we stay inside too much in darkness and all that, then we get depressed. We get like gloomy, and like summer is, like I said, it's at the peak. Everybody's outside doing something. Like, you don't want to be inside. So make sure you go outside and get some sun, touch grass, as we say. But also when things get too hot, and maybe you can't get away or get back inside and everything, find some shade. Find some shade, and that's dealing with any and everything. Maybe it's too hot. Find some shade. Sit down for a minute. Take a rest. Think some things through before you do anything else, or before you fall out from heat exhaustion, before you blow up at somebody with an attitude, you know? Maybe you just need some iced tea. Maybe you need something to eat. Something. Do something. Sit down somewhere and take a rest, because summer will take it out of you. But that brings us to people wanting everything to kind of cool off, right? So then we get into fall. I don't know that fall is so bad, because that is one of my favorites. It has my birthday month in it and all that, but fall is when things start to really cool down. And I would say the downside is like, man, like, you gotta go back to life. That's when school starts. That's when everything starts to fade. If you're like me, you kind of look up and be like, dang, it's dark already. Like, the days are getting shorter, and it's noticeable. So it's kind of that thing of, autumn is the only time that we actually get to understand that everything must change, because it shows us that everything must change, which is how you kind of get through it and find the good. Autumn is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm from Virginia, and I do miss the changing of the leaves, the beautiful browns, golds, and reds and everything. It is absolutely beautiful. I will not go back, but it is absolutely beautiful. That's probably the only thing I miss about that. But in changing and in seeing all that, remember, it's going from bright green and popping and all that to now the color's fading, which means everything is starting to fade. It's starting to die. So it has to change. You gotta let go, which is another lesson of autumn. You have got to let go. It's not gonna last forever. It wasn't meant to last forever. But you have to take those things with you in your heart and mind, because you're going to need it for later. So just remember all the good times you had. Remember all the sunlight you had. But autumn is the time that you got to say goodbye. You got to let it go. You got to let it go, because if you don't, it's too much to carry into winter. And some things just aren't meant to survive the winter. So that is the next season, of course. And winter, I would say, is not exactly my favorite. Winter is cold, and you got to stay inside, and everything is dead, and there's snow, but there's also some good in it. I have found that I like winter because of the food. That's when all the holidays and all that stuff happen. And really, it starts in November. I absolutely love food, and I have come to like winter a little bit because of that. But I also like it because things that are dead or dying, like, it's done and over with. Like, once it had its final hurrah and all of that, it's done. And the challenge is always to let dead things stay dead. It is what it is. If it's dead, let it stay dead. It wasn't meant to survive the winter. There is no need to revive dead situations. It's kind of like citrus. It's going to die anyway because it's cold. But things die for a reason, and you have to let it be. You have to let it be. And it's also a time where people get into the darkness, and they're afraid that they won't have enough light, they won't have enough warmth. But remember, I said before, in autumn and in summer, those are the things that you're supposed to hold on to in your heart and mind. And even a video or two ago, when I did joy, you have to have something that is sustainable. You have to understand that it's going to come from the inside and not the outside. So just because the seasons change doesn't mean that what's in you changes. And especially during the winter, that's what keeps your light burning. That's what keeps you going through those long winter nights. And winter, of course, December 21st is the shortest day, but it is the longest night and often the coldest night of the year. And I know sometimes people feel like they're not going to make it through the night. But you got to find a way. You got to hold on to the things from the previous seasons to get through your long winter nights sometimes. And sometimes you got to look for a way to spread light. One of my favorite quotes is, there are two ways of spreading light in this world: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. And I think this happens a lot in wintertime. If you ever notice, like, the world kind of changes into a cozier place, and you can find people being kind to each other more often. You can find places giving more to each other. And I honestly wish that, winter wasn't the only time that we did that, or the only time that the world kind of slows down and comes together to take care of one another. But I digress. Winter is the time that we do it, and whether you're the candle or the mirror reflects it, you have got to make sure the light stays during those long, long nights. And also, winter is for rest. There is nothing out there that is alive, that is just walking around during these winter storms. And true enough, I don't live in a place where the snow and all that happens, but in normal places, I guess, where you have all of the seasons, there's snow and everything else. The bears go and hibernate. They eat everything they can and they go to sleep, and you should too. And even though I live in Florida, where we have 80-degree Christmases and it is so beautiful and it is wonderful, I'm gonna stop. I still make sure that I rest during the winter. It is not an option. It is not a question. I'm not doing anything unless it's kind of working on things, for the next season. I might do that, but then, like, during the holidays, I'm spending time with family. That counts as rest. Doing things that you absolutely love, and just, taking it slow. It's not like there's a rush. Winter is one of the longest because we go through quite a few months. So there's not a rush. Rest. You're going to need it for the next seasons to come, right? Because even summer and autumn and everything, those are harvest months. And if you were working hard all that time, winter is the time to get your rest in and get your weight up. A lot of people get concerned because they're like, oh my gosh, I gained all this weight during the winter and now I got to work it off, and summer bodies and all this good stuff. But don't worry about it. Winter was meant to relax and kind of let go a little bit. This is also the time when people are afraid to get pregnant, but we won't talk about that. But winter is time for rest. Everybody needs it, and maybe I'll do a video on that another time, like proper rest, to make sure you're getting it all right. But eventually things have to come back to life, which is when we get to spring. Spring is not everyone's favorite season either. I know the first thing people say is, oh my God, the car is yellow. Oh, pollen, just bugs and everything else that's trying to kill you, it seems like. But it's the way that the cycle works. It's the way that everything comes back to life. And I always say, everything in the dark must come to the light. The flowers, the trees, the animals, you. It's time. It's time to get back out in the light and do your thing and show how much you've grown during the winter. Show how much you've learned over the last few seasons. It's a time to grow, and it's a reminder that you got to trust the process. Spring is growth and everything else, but you have got to trust the process. When you see all the baby animals and all that, that's so cute, but they are trusting the process. They are someday going to be the adult versions of themselves, and it happens pretty quickly in spring. Like, it's awesome to see, but they are trusting the process, and you have to trust the process too. It's going to ache a little bit. You got to stretch and grow a little bit, but this is the time to do it. It is the time to be uniquely you. It is the time to be beautiful, but it is not the time to get caught up in all the beauty around you. Spring is absolutely wonderful. The colors, the butterflies, the birds. It is easy to get caught up in the beauty of it and think that you have to compete with it. Not at all. Not at all. There's a quote that says, the flower does not worry about competing with the flower next to it. It just blooms. And that's all you got to do. That's all anybody can do. Stay in your lane, do what you're good at, contribute to the world only what you can uniquely contribute to the world, and just keep growing, right? So spring is one of my favorite, or it is my favorite. I say autumn and spring kind of have my heart torn, but spring, I love that the colors are popping, everything's moving and buzzing and all that. I don't really get allergies, thank goodness, but it is the most wonderful time of the year for me. I just love it. It feels wonderful. The weather is pretty nice, not too hot, not too cold. You might get some wind here and there, but other than that, it's absolutely beautiful. That is what I prefer. That is my favorite. And then we're right back to where we started. We're right back here in summer. So your challenge now is, what season are you in your life? What season are you in? And do you like it? Do you not like it? Write down the things that you like. Write down the things that are kind of tough. But weigh it out and find your way to get to your next season. Bonus points if you have figured out by now that this wasn't just seasons, right? This was all about you too. It's always about you. But yeah, that is your challenge. Figure out what season you're in, what you like, what you don't like, and how you're going to change to get to your next season. Now, that's not to say that seasons, they are, very long or very short or have a time limit. Sometimes you can move through a season really, really fast, and sometimes you can move through a season really, really slow. But your job is to figure out how, and to figure out the good in it. Don't focus so much on the bad. We know it's there. We know it has to be dealt with, but what's going to get you through it is focusing on the good of it, focusing on what you learned from that season so you can keep going. All right? So that is your Thankful Thursday. I love you all. Thank you so much for supporting and subscribing. I will see you next Thursday. Bye.